Hey, what's up everyone, it's Synq, bringing you all a video on how to cheese your first solo raid deathless. Don't have time to watch a 4-hour video? Maybe you just want to get a deathless solo with as little information as possible. This video is meant for people that don't want to learn the proper methods and just want to try and see if they can do it. A one-off attempt, if you will. This is only for people that want a deathless kill count, or maybe you're playing leagues. This guide is not efficient by any means whatsoever. In fact, it's not really a guide at all, and more so a walkthrough video. If you do want to learn properly, I strongly recommend checking out the Remastered Solo Raids guide. I know it's long, but a small price to pay to learn the best piece of content in my opinion. If you enjoy the video, consider liking and subscribing. So is it really possible to solo a raid without doing any methods? Let's find out. If you have better gear than me, then there should be absolutely no excuses on doing this deathless. You'll notice I don't have any melee armor. This is because, in my opinion, I believe the extra supplies will prove to be much more valuable than gear at the Great Olm. You can bring in as much gear as you want, but you might be banking some switches towards the end. A lot of what I brought is multi-purpose gear. Missouri, Crystal, Eclipse, and God Dragonhide all have ranged accuracy without losing any melee accuracy. I strongly recommend at least a Fury and a Cult switch if you have it. Here I chose the Obby Shield simply for the extra defense, but you should really be bringing in a defender. My spec weapon was just a Bone Dagger. It was a pretty terrible option, but hopefully you'll have a BGS or the Dragon Warhammer. The Berserker Ring is very easy to get, but I recommend the Light Bearer if you have it. The Blowpipe and Atlatl are much better than the Dragon Crossbow, but I figured it was easily accessible. I strongly recommend bringing Thralls while doing this. The rune pouch has Smoke, Blood, Death, and Aether runes. This allows you to have Thralls, Death Charge, and Vile Vigor. Death Charge will be used throughout the raid, and Vile Vigor can be used for restoring stamina. If you only have a regular rune pouch, then make sure you absolutely have Thralls. The Watering Can is used to douse the Flame Wall. I expect most of you to be bringing this in. For this challenge, I've limited my prayers to only Piety, Deadeye, and Mystic Vigor. Let's talk about what you want in your raid. This is the raid that I'll be doing. All the puzzles are very easy, so you shouldn't really have any troubles with that. When you scout a raid, I recommend scouting the easiest combat rooms. If you don't have 90 Herblore, make sure you absolutely scout the Mud Dials. If you're confident doing other rooms that also drop overloads, then go for it. After you have an overload room, I recommend also having the Guardians, Skeletal Mystics, or Shamans. These are by far the easiest rooms to do. The Lockpick and Salve are used to speed up thieving and the Skeletal Mystics. Once you've scouted a raid, pre-pot and get whatever items you need. For this raid, I only need some form of anti-poison for the Shamans. For the Mud Dials, we'll keep this really simple. Pray range if the smaller Mud Dial is further away from you, and pray melee if it's right next to you. Drop a brew and grab the bronze axe on the floor. Then start chopping the tree. The animation for getting hit takes priority over the woodcutting animation. This doesn't mean you've stopped woodcutting. Attack the Mud Dial between every woodcutting XP drop. Make sure to re-chop the tree. Try damaging it to around 60% HP before getting off. Once the meat tree is gone, stay close to the Mud Dial. You want to force it to melee you because you have 100% protection against it. I made sure to have room for the Overload and Prayer Enhance that it drops. You don't have to do this if you think it's too risky. If you've watched my guide, you know that this spot is a god spot. If you can't safe spot it, just range it and keep your distance. Make sure to pray range the entire time. You can come back for the supplies you left if you want, but that's completely up to you. I'll save you from the thieving room explanation. Open the chests and feed the scavenger. You'll need a total of 30 grubs. Here I banked some supplies I don't need until the end. This helps with getting supplies on the way. For Shamans, just pray range and keep your distance. The easiest trick is just to attack and run around the perimeter of the room. Grab seeds whenever you can, but it doesn't really matter. For the Skeletal Mystics, just pray magic and isolate 1v1s. Make sure your Salve EI is equipped if you have one. I decided to scav for supplies here. You'll need to do it at some point before the end. For the crystal crabs, just make sure you have something to smash them with. If you don't, there's a hammer spawn in this room. I again will not be doing a full explanation on this. Use the crab solver plugin, watch my guide, or just scout a different puzzle. Now it's time to prep your supplies. This is the gear that I'll be bringing into the fight. You don't need your ranged gear until the end, so I put them to the side. For this reason, I've equipped the magic cape for the extra defense. Make sure to have 1 overload, 1 enhance, and 4 to 5 restores depending on your experience. 4 restores is usually plenty. Don't forget your spec weapon, the watering can, and thralls. As I said before, I personally believe multi-purpose gear can be really helpful with supplies. Make sure your gear is simple and easy. There are some exceptions like the occult, torture, and anguish which are really powerful. Of course, for this example, I'm just proving that anyone can do it. You'll notice that I don't have a stamina. I personally think it's pretty easy to do what I'm specifically trying to do without a stamina. Of course, if you feel like you need it, then just bring it. These potions are just for pre-potting. Overload, brew, restore, and enhance before topping off your inventory. Before we start, I want to again reiterate that this is not efficient. You really shouldn't learn solo raids this way. This is only for people that want a deathless kill count, or maybe you're playing leagues. In this example, I try my best not to do any methods that a beginner wouldn't normally know how to do. It'd be pretty unfair if I just randomly started acid walking. When you go in, make sure to summon the mage thrall and immediately spec the hand. The melee hand controls the special attacks. The goal is to make sure the melee hand is always crippled. If the hand is crippled, no special attacks will happen. The melee hand cripples when you do enough damage to it. When a special attack happens, an audio cue will play. When you get crystals below your feet, just move away. When you get a mechanic you can't deal with, just walk it off. When you're ready, attack the mage hand at the center of the room like this. If it's flame phase, this nulls any flame walls from happening. Since you don't have to worry about any specials, just stand here and focus on your prayers. You only need to deal with simple mechanics. Now you need to pay attention to when the melee hand uncripples. When it becomes attackable, immediately attempt to cripple it again. Then start maging again at the center of the room. Deal with some easy mechanics, and that's it. Cripple the melee hand, and attack the mage hand at the center of the room. The overload reboosts your stats every 15 seconds. You'll notice that I'm always paying attention to this, and brewing before the 15-second interval happens. Here the melee hand uncripples, and I immediately get the portal swap special attack. This was pretty unlucky, but just run to the other portal and cripple the hand again. Here I get a phase specific while I need to re-cripple the hand. Just keep moving and you should be fine. Keeping your prayer low is good because of the prayer draining spheres. They take away half of your prayer points when fired. I recommend drinking a restore when you have around 15 prayer points. Make sure you absolutely do not forget to resummon your thralls. It is an absurd amount of DPS to be missing out on. Here I wasn't really paying attention to the hand, but it's not a big deal. Dodge the lightning and attack the melee hand. When the mage hand is finally dead, don't forget to summon the melee thrall. Now you have to deal with some specials, but it's really not that difficult. Dodge the crystals under your feet and dodge any lightning on your row. Now here's the only method I'll be having you do, as I believe it's really easy. After the lightning attack, try your best to count the basic attacks. First basic attack. Second basic attack. Once the second basic attack happens, just run to the left until the head turns towards you. If you're not sure, go ahead and run off to Narnia to guarantee it. This skips the portal swap from happening, which is arguably the most annoying special. Then just keep attacking the hand. The portal swap always happens after lightning, so it's very easy to predict. During the mid phase, you should use this time to heal any stats. If your overload timer is almost up, keep your HP around 50. This is because when the overload timer is up, it'll grant you an extra 50 HP. Make sure to summon the mage thrall near the mage hand and repeat what you did on phase 1. Immediately spec and cripple the melee hand. Then start maging again at the center of the room. You'll notice that now it's flame phase. This is where maging at the center of the room becomes extremely helpful. Because of this, the flame walls will always get nulled. When you see the head do an empty attack, that means you've successfully nulled the flame wall. Do not get this confused with an empty event. The empty event is just a 4-tick window where the head doesn't really do anything. My HP was getting a little low, so I decided to brew and restore before the overload timer. Hero got incredibly lucky and was teleported right outside of the flame wall. Again, pay attention to when the lightning happens and count the basic attacks. First basic attack. Second basic attack. Run to the left to skip the portal swap. You can also run far away if you're not really sure. Then continue attacking the melee hand. As long as you have the watering can, just left click the flame wall to get out. Here's the lightning, so pay attention to the basic attacks. First basic attack. Second basic attack. Run the head and attack the hand. For phase 3, start with the melee hand instead. This way you can pay attention to when the specials happen. Here's the lightning attack, so I'm ready to skip the portal swap. Once that's done, start maging like you normally would. The healing hand is a phase 3 special that happens after the portal swap. Once the hand is done healing, start attacking with melee again. Now just rinse and repeat until the phase is over. Here I got the flame wall on basic 1. I made sure not to panic and doused the flame wall on the left side. This is so that I can still skip the next special. Here I got acid trailed and lightning happened right after. Here's an example where I'd expect many people to lose track of where they are, and that's fine. Remember when I said to just run to Narnia? Well, that's exactly what I did. I went all the way to the left and was able to skip the next special. Once the melee hand is low enough, start maging like you normally would. This is where it can get a little tricky, so pay a bit more attention. So how do you deal with the portal swap now? When the lightning happens, pay attention to the basic attacks again. Just turn the head to the right to prevent the special. And if you're again not sure, just run to Narnia like I did. Once both hands are low enough, I recommend killing the melee hand first. This is because you don't want to risk the melee hand healing. I wasn't really paying attention and accidentally killed the mage hand first. This is still fine, just a little risky. Make sure to kill the hands around the same time to prevent them from healing to full HP. Now that both hands are dealt with, switch into your range gear and summon the range thrall. Attack the head and dodge the falling crystal chunks. When you get the healing pools, make sure to go to either one. Leaving early doesn't do anything, and you'll end up taking more damage. You can leave the moment you see the head do its next attack. This is when you're free to run away. The healing pools will graphically still be there, but they don't do anything. You can null the flame wall by standing right at the edge of the Olm's line of sight. You can choose to stand here whenever you tank an attack. And there you have it. It is absolutely possible to solo raid Deathless without doing almost any methods. I have plenty of supplies left considering the gear that I used. If you have better gear than this, then there should be no excuses. If you enjoyed the challenge, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to learn how to properly do solo raids, I strongly recommend checking out the Remastered Solo Raids guide. You can also try catching me while I'm live streaming. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.